Well, Merry Christmas. I'm so glad you're here. I just created this large poinsettia paper flower SVG file, and you can go to craftcuriosity.com to download it. Okay, once you've downloaded your file, come on into your Cricut design space. You can see that I'm logged in. It says Welcome Reagan. And I'm going to come over to the left side, this new project, and just click on that. So we're going to open up a new project. You should have a blank canvas here. If you don't, and you have something you're working on you want to save, this save will be highlighted right here. So go ahead and come over here and click on that and save your project and then clear your canvas. So come back over here to this left column at the very bottom. It says Upload. Click on that. Upload your image. And what you're going to do is go find the file that you downloaded. So most likely it's in Downloads, but it's wherever you placed it. So we're going to click on Browse. Go grab our file, and then click on Open, or just double click. So right now you can see that we've got the image set here. I already have an image name, and I could put tags in here if I wanted to, something like large paper flowers or Christmas. So you can do that. I'm going to skip that option right now, and I'm going to click Save. And now my image is ready to be used. So I'm going to come over here to this left-hand column and click on that, and it gets a nice little green highlight around it, and then come all the way to the bottom right here where it says Insert Images and click on that button. Okay, don't touch a thing just yet. Let your image download, and we're going to do a couple of things to set this up properly. So the first thing we're going to do is come over on this side. Don't unclick anything because right now it's selecting all of it. And click on this top line where it says Group. You want to click right above it on that second option over it says Ungroup. So we're going to ungroup everything. And then I'm going to come over here and see where these little down arrows are. If you click on that, they'll close up. So I had you close those arrows down so I can show you what to do with each of these different items for this poinsettia flower. So what we're going to do is this little eyeball off to the side here, that's visibility. I want you to go ahead and click on these and make everything invisible except the very top one. By making these invisible, it means you can work with one item at a time, and that's what we need to do. So now that I have just this one item to work on, it's the very top item. See, it's still visible. It doesn't have a line through that. Go ahead and click on that arrow and open it back up, and you'll see there's two items here. These two items are set to cut. So we have the outline, and then we have all these veins for the leaf. Well, those are not supposed to cut. They're supposed to score. So you're going to just click on this little pair of scissors, and your layer attributes are going to open up, and right along the top here, the third one over is Score. So click on Score, and now you can see right here next to this little white circle with a red line, that just means there's no color assigned. Right next to that, you'll see a little, looks like kind of a pen instead of a pair of scissors. That's exactly what you want, but you still need to then group everything. So you can do that by clicking on the line right above it where it says Poinsettia, and you can see that just these three lines are the darker gray. So those three are all selected. Come down to the bottom center and click on Attach. Okay, so now your petal is set to score first and then cut, but you only have one. The reason I didn't put all 6 on here is you'd have to do that with each petal individually. Now that it's set up, you don't have to. You can just come up right above it while it's still all selected. Come right up to the top where it says Duplicate, and duplicate that 5 more times. This is why you just want to work with one item at a time, because you wouldn't be able to individually duplicate them. You wouldn't be able to individually work on them. So now that I have 6, I am going to take all of these. I'm going to put my mouse out here to the side and click and drag over all of them. And then I'm going to come up to this attribute line right here where it says Group. Group all those together. Then I'm going to shut down that arrow, and now I know that I just have that one line here for that whole group. I'm going to make them invisible, and then I'm going to go to the next item. This next item just needs to cut. It's actually all ready to go. So we'll make those disappear again. Those are the little dots that go in the center of the poinsettia. This next item is an item where I only need it to cut once, but I still need to attach the lines. So we're going to come here and click on that score, the scissor here next to the writing line, and click on score. Then click on the line above it to group those two items together and attach them. Now they're attached to each other. Go ahead and close that down. So we're going to come to the fourth item. Unfortunately, they do switch places on you, but there's 9 items here. So I just know that now I'm on the fourth item. So I'm going to make that first item invisible, come down to the fourth item. That item also just cuts once. So we're going to go ahead and switch these cutting lines to scoring lines and click the line above it, and just basically you're highlighting those two items and attaching them together. Now we can shrink that again and make it invisible. Now I'm on my fifth item. So this item as well just needs to cut out, so there's nothing you need to do. The sixth item, this one we're going to have 2 of these, but first we're going to work on the first one. We're going to set these veins, petal veins, to scoring. We're going to attach them together. Now that they're attached, we'll make a duplicate. And now that we have our duplicate, we grab everything, group them together, and click on group. We can shrink that down and hide it. Now we can come to item number 7. Open that up. This is more petals. So we need to set those cutting lines to scoring. You can see that you're scoring because it's a dashed line now. But you still need to attach them together, or for whatever reason, they don't know to stay together. You'll get Cricut giving you some extra mats with scoring only and then cutting out the petals separately. So make sure you attach them together. It's really important. Okay, so again, we need 6 of these. So now that it's attached, go to duplicate, make 5 more. So once you have 6, group all of that. Click on group. The grouping isn't totally necessary. It just makes it easier to get them on one line again and makes it easier for you to figure out what you're working on next. Go ahead and hide that. All right, we're on item number 8. Open that up. We're going to score. We're going to attach those 2 items together. We're going to duplicate 5 more times. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 1 more. There we go. That's 6. Grab all 6, group them together, close that back up, and we should be on item number 9. Whoops, make that invisible. Go to item number 9. Last item, do the same thing. Set your lines to score, attach everything together, duplicate it 5 more times. Grab everything there, group them. Okay, now that's the last item, so you don't have to make it invisible. In fact, you can take everything else and make sure it's not invisible. And that's very important. Anything that's still invisible, it will not see to send to the machine. Okay, so everything is visible again. We are ready to click on Makeup, but if you'd like to, now that you've done all that setup work, you could also click on Save and save the project, and then you can just pull from your project and you will not have to do that setup again. So I'm saving my project. There you go. Lets you know it was saved. And now I can go over here and click Make It. There's one more thing we have to do. I really don't know if there's a way to do this ahead of time, but I'm not going to cut out on 12 by 12 paper. I'm cutting out on letter size paper. So I need to actually tell the mats to be letter sized. Now the nice thing is each mat, each color that you cut will, when you set the mat, so right now it's 12 by 12 and it's going to take 3 mats. Well, when I hit 8.5 by 11, it's going to switch those first 3 mats into 6 mats with 1 petal on each mat. But if you look at mat 6 and mat 7, you can see that my paper sizes are different. Mat 7 is still set 12 by 12. It's a different color. So for each color that's on there, you do need to come in and tell it. Now, for whatever reason, on mat 7, it says 9 by 12. It doesn't give you the option of 8.5 by 11, so I'm probably just a little too close to the parameter, but it does cut out on 8.5 by 11. So go ahead and just do 9 by 12. It'll be fine. And then keep going. Mat number 8. You just set each mat to 8.5 by 11. If they're small enough to fit on the one piece of paper, it will not add another sheet. It will not create a new mat. It will just keep it on the one. Like there's 2 items on this mat, but they both fit on the 8.5 by 11, so it's still just going to be one paper. It's more likely it's just these leaves and petals that are going to each need their own sheet of paper. And make sure you keep those scraps because there's a lot of things you can do with them. There's plenty of room left on them to cut out some letters or some accent pieces. So keep a nice little scrap pile going with this good quality paper. Just about done. This should be my last one. Yep, okay, so now the other thing you need to do is come all the way back to mat number 1 and click on it so that your flower will start cutting on that mat. Okay, so now that you're done, you've done all your setup, your paper is all selected, and by the way, if you're on 12 by 12, you don't need to do that part. Then click on Continue, select your Cricut device, I'm on the Maker, go to your popular papers. I'm cutting this out on light cardstock, and I need to do something here because I have the Maker and they have the new scoring wheel. That's what they're setting up, but I don't have the scoring wheel yet. So I'm going to go to Edit, Tools, and pick the scoring stylus. Click on Continue. And now my machine will cut with the scoring stylus. So everything else happens at the machine. I'm using the Reflections Shades of Red cardstock. It's a 65-pound cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and get this open. Now it does have a variety of shades in it, and I'm going to be using 3 shades. My largest petal is going to be this darkest red, then the next largest, and then the smaller of the 3 single petals will be here. Then I also have some center pieces, and those are all also going to be this lightest shade. I'm not going to go into the lighter ones. So these 3 colors are what I'm going to use. Now for the green, I'm going to use this feathered green set, and I'm going to use the darkest green that they have in there. So for the center, I pulled a piece of paper out of another recollection set, and I don't want to turn it too far up towards the light because I think it's just going to glare on you, but it's a really pretty gold. So I'm going to use that for the center. So click on Load, let your paper load, and then you pick the Go button, the little Cricut button, and you're off and running on cutting the paper. Okay, we've got it all cut out. Now we get to do the fun part. We get to put it together, but there's a little bit of folding to do on this one. So let's start with that. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Now we do have scoring lines. I think you could see those on there. So you're going to use these scoring lines and fold them all in the exact same direction. So I'm going to fold one leaf, and I'm going to fold one of the multi-leaf pieces so you can see how to do both. And then I'll just finish them all off camera so I won't keep you too long. So where the scoring line is, go ahead and make that fold. I've got a cardstock, so I do want to make sure I get a nice bend on that fold. Now, let me go grab it. at least have near me a bone folder. So you can use a bone folder to just give a nice press. I think that always looks nice. And then leave it folded, and then where these little leaf stems are, you're going to actually fold those all in the same direction. So what you're going to do, and if you want you could bone folder each piece or you could just press it, is you just bend it but then release and then bend again. So don't bend, don't twist it and bend over the top of each other. Just give each one of these a little bend. In the same direction for each piece. Okay, when you're done folding it, your leaf should have a nice little curl to it. And you can just leave it folded and move on and go ahead and finish that with all the broad single leaves and petals. When you're doing these centers, this one you'll do in a very similar fashion to this one, so I'm just going to show you one. So with these, it's easiest if you go ahead and make all your center folds on all four or both, all two pieces if it's one of these. And you'll notice I didn't score all the way to the center. You do not need to fold all the way into the center. I find that just by getting these outer edges and rounding it first, it'll help find that score line. Okay, so once you have all four sides bent or two sides bent, then do the same exact thing where you're going to fold everything in the same direction. So just make your little folds on each of these little lines. And then you'll go ahead and do it on all the rest. Okay, so this is what your leaves and large petals are going to look like when you're done folding. And this is what your centers are going to look like when you're done folding. So all four, they all go in the same direction, and the two petal pieces will do the same thing. They'll go in the same direction. So get them all done, leave them like this, and then you can get them unfolded and lay them into piles ready to start gluing. Okay, everything's folded, and then I've straightened them all back out and put them into piles. I have my leaves and then my large, medium, small single petals. This is my larger quad petal, my smaller quad petal, and my two tiniest duos petals. So we're ready to go. This back, by the way, it happens to be green because that's just the color of the scrap paper I had. It has no significance. It's on the back. It's not going to be seen. So this is your back piece that you're going to glue everything to. So let's go ahead and get started. What I like to personally do is start with my leaves, of course. Get them on the base. But my petals I'll put fairly even on here. My leaves, I like to do them in a trio. So I want to have two here, and two here. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue a leaf down. And I've got my high temp glue gun just because my low temp had some glitter glue in it and I didn't want to use it up. So this is my glue gun stand, by the way. I did make a video on how to make one of these. I used a bunch of dollar store items and mason jars and put it all together, and I'll tell you what, it's come in so handy. I have a high temp and a low temp, and generally for flowers I like the low temp. Okay, so now you can go right on into doing your flowers. Now these I do space evenly, and I am going to bring them into the center a little bit more. All right, that's our first row of petals. Now we'll take our next set, medium size. You'll notice I'm keeping the bend on the upside, by the way. Now I just rotate these a little bit, just a little past this one. And then my smallest petal is going to go right here, a little past again. So now I've already got them spaced, and I'm just going to use the existing petals as my guide. Okay, now we're going to grab that smallest petal group. Okay, now I've already made sure I've sized these two. I definitely want the larger piece first. Now this, I'm going to put this one also with the points coming up. So it's going to go right in the center. Actually, you can glue down right in that center if it's easier. Okay, then you're going to take your second piece, go ahead and put a glue dot right in the center again. But on your placement of this one, be very careful that you are exactly turning it a quarter turn. So each petal should go exactly in between the others. All right, so we have two more pieces left. Go ahead and again drop your glue right on the center. Now you can choose to keep going right on a center angle, or you could even be just a little off if you wanted to, and kind of an I don't know what, not a quarter turn. One more drop in the center. And one more set of leaves. Okay, look at how fast that glued together and how gorgeous it looks. We just have one more bit to do, and that's to put the centers on and put the string on the back. I'm going to just push this little glue gun out a little bit so you can see the flower a little better. And we're just going to come here in this center and just put as many or as few of the dots as we'd like, and they can overlap each other. So what I like to do is, again, I bring the dot over to the glue gun so I'm not putting it above the flower, just in case there's a little stringer or something. Get a nice little blob there, but you do want to kind of allow for some dimension, okay? So it doesn't matter if it cools a little bit. Go ahead and just stick it on and start with one kind of in the center. And then you can kind of work out from there. Now that your flower is done, again, just be careful not to get little stringers going everywhere. These don't have to be in any kind of order or unity. They can really be somewhat random. I think, personally, I think they look better that way. Okay, that is one lovely, big, giant poinsettia flower that's going to hang on a wall so nicely. So, to do that, we need a wall hanger. I just take a little piece of string, just tie a knot, do it twice, it's fine. I don't get overly concerned because I'm actually going to saturate that in glue. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to do two. Okay, so take your paper and your knot and just, you know, put the knot or the circle in the paper, the knot on the inside. Add a little glue. It will come out of the sides, so don't go crazy. Bring it kind of all together and just kind of press that in. I try not to have it all oozing out of the sides, you know, like I said. I want hopefully some of the string to absorb that. If you have a little, oops, let's get some scissors out here. If you have a little bit of the string hanging out, you can get rid of that. Don't cut your loop. And if the two sides of paper aren't really secured down, I got that center part glued, but not down here. So I'm just going to give that a little extra glue down here. Just kind of secure that all down. There we go. So it doesn't really matter where, unless you like a certain angle from the front side. But I'm just going to go ahead and stick a little glue on here. It's generally a circular flower, so it doesn't really matter, but get that on there. So your hanger is secure. Press that down for a sec. That will hang your flower. Now once you have your flower all put together, you can go through and see if you have any areas that are floppy. You can just glue down little tacks. So I can come like these two are kind of loose. I'm just going to put a little tack in between the two petals, kind of on the back petals, not so much on the front. And you can tack it down a little bit if you need to. You can also put that bone folder to good use. And for example, I wanted this leaf to kind of curl back towards the back of the flower. You know, and just change the direction on a petal or two. And that's real fun too. So, you know, have fun with this. I hope that you enjoy the pattern. I've tried to do everything I could to make it easy for you to just pop right into Design Space and do on your own. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send an email to info@craftcuriosity.com, and I get those personally. So I'll be happy to help you out in any way that I can. I hope you enjoy this pattern. Would love your feedback on it.